That's right, it's severance time once again.
Okay, so obviously, full spoilers for Season 2, Episode 1. It took me a little bit to get into the first episode. I rewatched the whole series leading up to this, so I was primed and ready for it. Even, I don't mean to brag or anything, but like, I didn't even need to watch the recap. So, yeah. But I think that's kind of one of the downsides of waiting the entire hiatus and then coming back the following season, is that if you don't rewatch at least the previous season of a show, I feel like you really kind of go cold on it. You're not in it anymore. You're not hot about it. This happened with Game of Thrones a lot. But anyway, I'm happy so far. I was a little lukewarm on this episode getting going, and I think we don't have the gang back together, so that's just kind of inherently part of this episode. Is getting everybody back together and kind of rebuilding the status quo, which that was one thing that I figured was gonna be a part of the new season, was how do we get back to the main four in the office, given what happened at the end of last season. I figured there was gonna have to be serious consequences, and they were gonna have to kind of work to get back to having the freedom that they had in season 1, because given how such minute infractions of the law at Lumon would earn them such severe consequences, what could possibly lead Lumon to want to put the four back together? But I think they've done it cleverly, which is that we're seeing Lumon and Milchick are sort of desperately trying different things.
The four of you have achieved international fame. As a group, you've become known as the face of severance reform.
To, I guess, find out, like Mark says in that one scene.
What if they're waiting for us to tell each other what happened because they don't know what happened?
And so I think we're seeing sort of like, we see a few different attempts at them trying to extract that information.
Oh, hi. The break room has no cameras or microphones.
So first they try and put Mark with this group of randos, maybe hoping that he will confide in one of them or that he'll spill the beans without having to kind of put these four criminals back together again. But ultimately that doesn't work, and they do have to resort to getting them back together. But I feel like it is all part of a plan, and they're not just getting off scot-free like that easily. But anyway, when it comes to this whole thing about their innies being famous on the outside, it's been 5 months, they all refused to come back, but Mark begged for his job back. That is all a complete load of horse shit. That's my thinking. That's sort of the first step in kind of experimenting to see how they can get answers out of Mark S. I think the newspaper is fake. I think that it hasn't been 5 months. I think in the next episode, where I'm assuming we're basically going to start over again and see what happened after the finale with the Audis instead, I think we're gonna find that it's been like days. So my next thing maybe is extremely obvious to everyone, or maybe it's gonna be a huge reveal. I don't know, but it's not technically a spoiler because I don't know what's gonna happen. But if you don't want to have it ruined for you, just skip to the next time code. Speaking of liars, Helly is her outie right now. That's my theory. At first when she starts telling her story about the outside,
I saw the inside of a really fucking boring apartment.
And it's not what happened. I'm thinking, okay, like TV bullshit. There's got to be some drama. Somebody's got to lie for some weak ass reason. She wants to protect them from the truth or something. But pretty quickly I was like, well, what makes more sense as a part of this mission to kind of get these people to talk? Send Helena down there. Just rig the elevator so that she doesn't switch when she goes down. It makes perfect sense that this would happen at some point in the show, even if it's not happening right now. If you need to trick the innies, then, this is a perfect way to do it. They have no way of knowing if it's really her or not. But yeah, so I was thinking, if the Helena theory is correct, then I was thinking maybe they would reveal at the end of episode 1, and then we would kind of have this tense story arc, maybe a few episodes long, where we know she's lying, but the others don't. Which maybe that'll happen in another couple episodes. But obviously, if that's true, they wouldn't want the actual Helly to be absent from the series for so long. So my thinking is that maybe they'll reveal it next week or the week after, and then from then on we'll see her independently. That they're keeping her as the innie somewhere else isolated from the group. I was worried that Irving was maybe they're gonna get rid of him. I don't know. Just he seemed like if you saw that pop-up advertisement thing that they did, which I think was really cool, he wasn't there, and I feel like I've seen, I've stayed away from all the trailers and everything, but I've seen little thumbnails for promos and stuff where it's like it seems to be all three of them but not him, and so I thought maybe they were gonna edge him out or something. I don't know. And it seemed like they were clearly kind of working off that assumption with him threatening to leave at the end. It seemed like it was kind of this big goodbye for him. So really glad to see that he stuck around, and I hope that means that he's gonna be around forever. I think the 4 and their chemistry is a big part of what makes the show so good. So I don't want to see them break up. I also hope that Christopher Walken comes back, because you just see this happen a lot where shows will have a big star in season 1, but they almost always get rid of them at the end of season 1. Really, just think about some of the shows you've seen. You've probably experienced it many times. Game of Thrones, for one. Lots of examples of this, where they kind of bring in this ringer of, a household name for the first season, kind of get people in, and then they kill them off or whatever. Last note about this episode, the very end when, Mark's doing his refining and we see Miss Casey on the screen, this is kind of supporting this theory that I've had for a while. I have this feeling that what MDR is doing is they are in, the refinement of this data is actually refining the chip itself. And that, this whole branch of Lumon is kind of beta testing the chip, perhaps, and so what they're seeing or what they're feeling when they see the numbers is like memories that they have as their Audi. So for example, they would show Mark he doesn't know he's seeing it somehow. I don't know, but some way, he thinks he's looking at numbers, but he's actually looking at a picture or a video of his wife, and that makes him feel a certain way. And so when he boxes those numbers, what he's really doing is telling this algorithm that this is something that is getting through from my Audi, something that I shouldn't have a feeling about, but I do. So this is a part of my brain that needs to be further locked away. Also, I don't know how crazy they plan on getting with the twists in this show, but this shot right here, how, the numbers kind of, the screen sort of transitions into this other version that is not the one he's seeing, almost makes me wonder if maybe somewhere further down the line, maybe way down the line, a major twist is going to be that what we see on the severed floor isn't even reality, that they're in some kind of simulation, or that at least what they think the world looks like down there in the offices is all an illusion somehow. Especially since everything we see down there is completely isolated from everything else in the story, the rest of the world. There would be no way of those characters or us knowing if any of that physical space even really exists. But I think it's a little too early to be consuming that particular can of worms. But lastly, to revisit the whole Kier PE thing, maybe also asked...
Can you tell what state we were in? Because 3 of us put Wyoming on our input survey.
Which, as I said in the season 1 video, the state on the map was just, the abbreviation PE, which, what does that mean? I don't know. Goodbye.